Hi everyone, this is Cheryl and welcome to my sewing room. I'm going to demonstrate how to make this really cute Cardinal Bird Pot Holder, and I'll tell you where I bought the fabric and it was a real deal on the price. Here's the panel fabric that I'm using. Some of the squares have a border around it and some do not, but they're all 6-inch squares. So I'm going to show you how to put a really easy border around all of these. Here is the fabric that I'm using as the border. It's snowflakes. It's just really pretty. I'm going to use it on the back of the pot holder, and I'm also going to use it for the binding. This was also purchased at Walmart. In fact, all of this was. And they have really inexpensive prices. So if you are a beginner, I recommend you look there because you don't want to buy high-end quilt fabric if you are just getting started. So this was $3.97 a yard. Walmart is also starting to have pre-cut pieces of fabric, so it makes it really quick. This one was pre-cut 1 yard. This was not. I wish they would have had it. As you can see, you can make a lot of pot holders out of just a half a yard of fabric. You can also, if you wanted to, cut these out and put a larger border around them and work it into a quilt and even a table runner. This is why I love panel fabrics. There's a lot less piecing that you have to do. It makes your project get done very quickly. One of the problems that I have with pre-printed panel fabrics is often they are not on the fabric very straight, and sometimes it's stretched in weird directions. This particular piece is actually pretty straight. I was really surprised. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut into this, and I'm going to cut this other side here. And once you got it lined up, then go ahead and cut. And now just go ahead and continue cutting around the squares. I'm going to cut out a strip that is 3 inches wide for the border, and then I'm going to cut out another piece 2 3/4 inches wide for the binding. So fold your fabric with your selvage edges together, and then you need to straighten out one edge over here. So have your fabric going straight across this way. Place your ruler on one of your lines going this way, and then go ahead and trim this edge straight. Now I'm going to move the ruler over 3 inches. Don't move your fabric, just move the ruler and get it straight on a line and then cut. Now don't move your fabric, and then you're going to move over 2 3/4 inches, and then you're going to do your second cut. I'm going to cut out the pieces for the border, and this is the 3-inch wide strip. So first, cut the selvage edge off at one end. Then my first piece I'm going to cut is 6.5 inches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.5. And remember, don't move your fabric, just move the ruler. Now I want to cut one out that is 9 inches, and go ahead and cut. Take your strip for the binding and keep it folded in half with the selvage edges together, and then you're going to trim the selvage edges off. Then, then go to your ironing board, fold this in half all the way down, and press in half. Place the 6.5 inch long piece of border fabric on the bottom of the bird fabric, and then front sides together. Now you're going to have a little bit of fabric hanging out past each end, as you can see here. That's because later we're going to cut it to be an exact fit. So then go ahead and do 1/4 inch stitch line across here, your seam. Press it on the back, unfold, and press on top. After you've done your pressing, now you're going to trim this straight. So align your ruler on the bird fabric and trim it straight. And now do the other edge, align it on top of the bird fabric, and then go ahead and cut this side straight. Now place your 9-inch long piece of fabric on this side of the bird fabric. And again, have a little bit of fabric hanging out on each edge. Then stitch 1/4 inch along here. After stitching, press your seam on the back, fold it over, and press on top. Now trim both edges straight. So align it up with the bird fabric on this edge and trim it straight. Now do the other side. Now you're going to line it up on this border fabric here. And let me move this over just a tad here, just a little bit, and cut it straight. Now layer all the fabrics. So here is the square that's on the back. Place it front side down. Then your 2 layers of cotton batting or your Insulbrite and cotton batting. Then place your pot holder front on top. Scatter pins over the top. And you're going to do a diagonal stitch pattern, which means you're going to go from corner to corner, and then you're going to go out and do 1 more line on each side, and then 1 more line on each side of that, so that it looks like this. Now this is a wavy line. This is called a serpentine stitch. So you can either do a straight stitch, or if you have the serpentine stitch on your machine, you can use that. Then after you've done that, you're going to turn it and repeat the pattern. Go down the center, go over and do a line on each side, and again do another line. And when you're done, it looks like this. Before you do it, you want to use, if you have one, is a walking foot. Here it is here. It's a presser foot, and it's used for stitching over multiple layers of fabric. I highly recommend you get one if you don't have it, because you will love it once you have one. This helps to keep the fabric layers from shifting apart, getting little tucks in your fabric. With a standard presser foot, it's going to cause your fabric to stretch and move out of place, and also get little tucks. You can get these at sewing machines, supply stores, and websites, and also from Amazon.com. After stitching, I'm going to trim my edges a little bit. There's a little bit of the cotton batting showing, so I just want to trim this off. And I'm going to do a little bit on the other side. Okay, because we want to make it a hanging pot holder, we're going to start up in this corner here. So on this side. So take your binding strip and place it right up here. The raw edges are on the raw edges of the pot holder. So go ahead and pin it down, then stitch 3/8 of an inch in from this edge all the way down. Stop stitching when you are 3/8 of an inch away from this edge here. Take your binding and pull it straight out this way to where this edge is in alignment with this edge here. Then fold it over to where this folded edge is even with this edge here. And I would place a pin there to hold, and then stitch 3/8 of an inch seam starting here at the folded corner all the way down, and when you get 3/8 of an inch away from this corner up here, take it out. Then continue folding the next 2 corners like you did this. I have stitched around 3 corners. I didn't go all the way down this last side here. I just stitched a little bit. So before you go down to this last corner, turn it over and pull the binding out and fold it to the back, and then place a pin along here. Now you want to pull this folded edge of the binding past your stitch line here. If you don't pull it past the stitch line, you're going to have problems later. So make sure it's pulled past the stitch line. Then go ahead and line this up and continue stitching 3/8 of an inch seam. And then as you come down to this side of where the binding is here, you're going to stitch right up over the top and then stop. Pull your binding piece out and line up your edge here on one of the lines on your cutting mat and go over 4.5 inches and trim the excess off. Now on this side, you have the front side of the pot holder up and this side of the binding is up. Take your scissors and you're going to cut a small square, about 1.25 inches. Now don't cut all the way down to the folded edge. And you're only cutting through 1 layer of fabric. It doesn't have to be a perfect square. We're just getting rid of some of the bulk. And remember, nobody's going to see this square here. So you've only cut through 1 layer. Then go to your ironing board. Now we're going to press this end of the binding. So take this edge and fold it over about 1/4 inch. And then take this raw edge here and fold it up about 3/8 of an inch, whatever your seam width was. And remember, it doesn't have to be perfect. This is a very forgiving step right along here. Now fold the binding in half. So you're bringing the raw edges together, and this is the part that's going to be your loop. Now to make it easier to fold the binding over to the back, go ahead and press these edges. So open up the binding and push against the seam, and it's going to make it so much easier to fold this binding over. And then go ahead and pull all of the binding up over your corners and around to the back. Have the back of the pot holder facing up. Take your binding and pull it around over to the back, and make sure you take the folded edge of the binding and pull it past your stitch line and pin it down. Let me show you how you do your corners. Okay, these are really easy to do. Let me turn it this way. It's a little better. Have a pin on one side of the corner and a pin on the other side of the corner. Again, make sure that binding folded edge is pulled past the stitch line. Take a straight pin, press down, push as far in as you can go to this side here, fold it over, and then pin. And that's how you do all of your corners. The next step is to do stitch in the ditch, and this is the stitch that's going to hold that binding down in the back. So it's very important that that folded edge of the binding is pulled past the stitch line. Otherwise, this next step will not work, and you're going to be very disappointed. Once you've got it all pinned down, you're going to start up in this corner here and stitch all the way down. You're stitching right next to the binding, but not on top of the binding. Remember that. Don't stitch on the binding. Very close, all the way down to this corner. When you get to that corner, leave your needle in the down position, lift up your presser foot, turn the pot holder, and then stitch back down to the next corner. And you're going to do this all the way around. Now, when you get here, make sure you have your folded edges of your loop end here together. And when you get to here, you're going to come up over the top and stitch these two folded edges together all the way down. And when you get down here, then stitch across and back stitch a few times. Have the back side facing up. Take this end of the loop, bring it around to this edge over here. There you go. Pick it up, place it like that. So you have this really nice little loop. I would pin it down, take a straight pin, and you don't need to go through all the layers, just enough to catch it so that it stays there while you line it up on your sewing machine or under your presser foot, okay? Because it's pretty thick right now. Then turn it over to the front. And what you're going to do, it's really simple. You're going to stitch just a little square. So you're just going to go down 2 or 3 stitches, needle down, lift up the presser foot, turn the pot holder, go over 2 or 3 inches, and keep going around. I would go around about 2 times just to hold it. And then you are done. For more pot holder projects, play this video to the end where you will see a green screen and then click on the links. Well, I hope you liked this video, and if you did, would you please click on the old thumbs up button. Also, don't forget to click on share to share this video with your friends. And if you haven't hit that old subscribe button yet, click on that red button down there in the lower right-hand corner of your screen. Then click on the little bell and enter your email address. If you find you're not receiving those email notifications about my latest video, notifications is probably not turned on in your cell phone or your iPad or tablet. So go to settings and turn notifications to the on position. I'm Cheryl and this is Manny. So glad you came to my sewing room. See you next time and happy sewing!